Janarian Bonner was short of Lloyd, basically on the sideline, completely wide open, trailing the play. I'm just talking about the entire play design.
And he didn't even see him because he watched
Jalen
Lloyd the entire time.
45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. He's gonna go. Holy cow!
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better. He gets better and better. Team is MVP. Team is MVP. Oh, man, woman, and child, he just turned this stadium inside out.
Quarterback time.
Now it's time to talk about fucking quarterbacks.
Even though we didn't talk about them at all on our last show.
I didn't even mention them.
Not one time.
We were all like slightly shaking in our chairs wanting to talk about it.
Here's the thing. I think if you're a fan, which is all we are, we're not experts. We are not in the media.
Fuck you, I'm an expert.
This is a fan podcast.
I'm an expert.
Make sure
it looks like an expert. Look at that hat.
Make sure it's there. But if you're just a fan, the main attraction to that spring game was not just Dylan Raiola, but let's see what our quarterback situation looks like. That was the whole, like, anybody that you talk to, yes, Dylan Raiola was probably 80% of the quarterback excitement. But just simply seeing what we have.
You ask any fan, what was our biggest problem last year on offense?
Quarterbacks.
Bingo.
What was our biggest problem in the games in general?
It's not just a Dylan Raiola conversation. It's a quarterback conversation.
Yeah. And I think we can all safely say, I'm very pleased with what I saw.
Absolutely.
Yes. Top to bottom, I think Danny Kalin was right where I thought he was going to be. He looked like a freshman who had, he was a little overly excited.
But a distant third.
Yeah, he was a distant third.
Yes.
I think Heinrich Haarberg, like I said, was the biggest surprise for me.
Absolutely.
He was the biggest excitement for me.
I agree.
To show that bringing in a real quarterbacks coach really made a difference.
We talked previously on one of our shows that if there was a quarterback competition, it wasn't going to be because Raiola was not living up to the hype. It's going to be because Haarberg improved so much.
Because somebody stepped up.
It kind of looks like he stepped up.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you have to exclude that first drive because the first drive was...
Yeah, it was
3 and out. It was a 3 and out.
Yeah,
it was a normal 3 and out.
But after that...
You know what he didn't do? He didn't turn the ball over.
No.
Agreed. But he was composed.
And also, when it comes to the season, is Dylan Raiola going to have a 3 and out? Yes. So,
every quarterback does.
I mean, we don't have to put that out there. Maybe who doesn't? Maybe he never has.
And he wins a Heisman every year he plays college football.
No, yes. Was watching, and I know you sent the text when Dylan threw that first touchdown. Like, gentlemen, we have a quarterback.
It was pretty.
And yes, but as good as Raiola looked, I was much more impressed with Haarberg because of what we knew of Haarberg.
His baseline was lower.
Than I was of Raiola, yes.
Okay,
his baseline was much lower.
You should also throw in there because of what we knew and expected of Raiola.
I didn't really expect a shit ton of him. I just,
How do you not, though, with knowing his background?
I'm saying for myself.
No, I know that. I'm saying, just the argument of, you think about this kid. Yes, he didn't start playing football till he was actually in high school. But you think about the fact that he grew up with a father playing in the NFL. Mm-hmm. He grew up, hanging out with, having Matt Stafford and his wife over to their Thanksgiving one year. Things like he was around supreme athletes his entire life. And then you throw in the fact that since he got into high school and decided, I'm better at football than I am at baseball, and really went after the quarterback role and started working out with Patrick Mahomes and working out with Patrick Mahomes' coach and doing basically, from the looks of it, everything he possibly can to emulate the best quarterback in the game. You have to have a little bit of an expectation about who he is, what he's going to bring to the game.
The reason I didn't have a high expectation from the very beginning is because of a show that we will do in the future of true freshman quarterbacks coming into college.
And I'm excited about that.
So I'm
excited to hear you break it down. Breaking down the spring game, I think I was even more excited by him than I expected to be. But like I said, Haarberg stole the show for me just as far as improvement goes.
Look at you guys giving plugs to future shows. Speaking of, if you like future shows, subscribe, all that shit. You know what to do.
And if you don't subscribe, you'll never get to see a future show. So.
Never again. Not one time will you ever see our show ever again.
No refunds.
But we do appreciate you subscribing and support the channel. But I mean, when you break down the numbers, when you look at everything, I thought they gave a nice opportunity to the two freshmen especially, to showcase what they were able to do, get out there, make some plays. I was actually kind of shocked by one specific number. Haarberg ran the ball one time.
Well,
and it was a broken play. He scrambled out of the pocket and got 17 yards.
There was another play when Rhule was up in the booth when Haarberg kind of scrambled and then he just ran out of bounds. And Rhule literally said, if this was live action, he would have ran up the field and got 4 to 5 yards.
Yeah.
So, you're not wrong, but at the same time, when you're wearing a green jersey, it's kind of not fair to
I get it.
take off
his 17-yard run though was wide open field.
Yes, absolutely.
He would have had that easily.
Just saying,
probably more.
You get to feel really comfortable in the pocket and not really worry about scrambling or whatever else.
Throwing a touchdown to Thomas Fedoni at the end of the game.
When the defensive lineman puts his hands up, he's like, "Yep, I can't hit
and then
you."
He still throws it, and Fedoni celebrates like it's a real touchdown. I'm like, come on, man.
There were several times when the defender ran past, tapped their butt.
Yep.
He could have easily tried to run on any of those, too.
Yes.
And instead stood there behind the line, threw the ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
there was one for Raiola, the same thing, where a guy kind of just tapped his butt. They let the play continue, which the ref should have blown the whistle and just said the play's dead. Yeah. But whatever, they let the play go. That's fine.
Some of that might have just been, we want to see them throw the ball more, so I don't care if they get touched.
Yeah. And we're trying to put a show on for the fans.
Yep.
When I looked at what I saw though,
are you fucking kidding me?
They because not just the defenders on the front end are they going to let up, but you got to imagine that the guys that are looking back, that are tracking a wide receiver, tracking whatever, they're going to be also letting up a little bit when they see, it looks like he's got him.
Yeah.
Oh,
also,
no, the play's still going.
Also, it's hard to defend somebody for 10 seconds.
Well, we heard Rhule all spring say, man, the defensive line would yell at me when I'd let a play keep going. You're like, well, no, we sacked him, and he'd be like, yeah, no, you didn't. And like, it just they were pissed all spring, but it's also just part of it. Like, what do you expect?
And we mentioned this before 2 shows ago. How much are they trying to push an elite defense to be even more elite and stay elite? And how much are they just trying to raise the level of confidence of an offense that had nothing to be confident about after last season? It's a delicate balance.
Especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah. But when you're looking at the quarterback position, I think, with the exception of Haarberg, you really have to just kind of clean the slate.
Yeah.
And Haarberg, if he continues to improve the way that he improved this spring and this offseason so far, there's no reason that he shouldn't be an extremely viable second option come fall.
He's at least going to compete for that number 1 spot.
I agree.
No, he's not.
I think he's going to compete for it. That doesn't mean he's going to win it.
I'm not at all saying he's going to win it.
The word compete, yes, it means that he will compete for the job because they compete for the job every day they show up.
I'm not willing to anoint a brand new guy yet.
I am 100%. We saw more than enough to see that Dylan Raiola is just in a different class.
You're going to be right, but I'm not going to just sit here right now on May 1st and anoint him.
16 completions is not more than enough for me.
No,
that's what's fun. This is a nice.
It's not really a debate because I just said you're going to be right. But
the best part of debating is being right. So, now
I see your motive for this.
I really do think that we saw a different Heinrich Haarberg. Yes, we saw a quarterback that was out there that looked a lot better than he did last year.
Yeah,
but Dylan Raiola looked like a different level of quarterback. He was making different types of throws that Haarberg still didn't try and attempt. There's just different things about his game that are just next level that you see on a winning team with a winning quarterback. It was very exciting, and it gave me a lot more hope for, not necessarily, do I think he's going to go out there and throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns every game? No, I'm not saying that we're going to be an extremely explosive offense compared to what we were last year.
No, just 375 and 4 touchdowns.
Hell yeah, let's do it. That would be amazing. I don't see that happening in the Big Ten, especially late in the year. But he proved 2 different times that he has the ability to pull it down and take off if he needs to. He's not going to run like a...
I don't know if I'd use the word take off.
Take off, but like I was about to say, he's not going to run away like a galloping deer like
he'll
Haarberg
move his
does.
feet. I don't know about taking off.
But I hate that we keep trying to compare him to Mahomes, but because he does mimic everything that Mahomes does so much.
Including his haircut.
Including everything. Literally the way he wears his headband, the whole deal. But the way he moves in the pocket.
The way that he does this whole hand thing and his number and just everything.
His presence in the pocket his presence and his ability to not be fast to escape, but his escapability from just a football intelligence standpoint and the way that he looks and sees the field, you saw some of that. Being able to get out of the pocket, stay away from a guy, and keep your eyes downfield and find a receiver. That is one of the most dangerous things about Patrick Mahomes' game. And if he only has that out of Patrick Mahomes' game, that is a next level thing that you don't see a lot in college quarterbacks.
You know, one of the biggest things, and I'm going to try to, I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying, but I'm going to try to continue to say both these quarterbacks. What we saw was not just, and I know we said this on the previous show, where when they put their back foot in the ground when they were dropping back, they were decisive in where they were going. It wasn't just that, and again, especially Heinrich Haarberg, because of what we saw last year. These passes, obviously they didn't complete all the passes, but they were either to their receivers or in a place where nobody was going to get them except for the receiver.
Yeah.
We saw the one pass from Haarberg into the end zone, into the corner of the end zone. It was almost like the Jeff Sims Minnesota pass at the end of the first half, where if he throws it to the back corner, maybe it's not still completed, but the only person that's going to get it is his guy, but then he throws it short and it gets intercepted. We see that one pass from Haarberg, it's thrown high, it did not get completed, but it was at the only spot of it's either going to be his guy or nobody. We saw a lot of those passes on the sidelines, things like that, where it was either going to be completely accurate or it's going to be my guy or nobody. So the turnovers are cut down drastically. That was one of the other big things that I saw from all of the quarterbacks, I guess, not just Heinrich Haarberg and Dylan Raiola, but also Danny Kalin and stuff like that. But again, I have to talk about Haarberg because of what we saw last year and some of those short passes or where people were reaching for a pass that he was thrown to, not to continue to talk about the Borkacher pass down the middle of the field.
Yeah.
There were so many passes that they weren't reaching for.
No, the balls were where they needed to be.
Yeah.
They were also in a place where they could still make a play after they caught the ball. Instead of, oh, I actually did make the catch, now I got to hit the ground because I'm about to get smoked.
Yep.
Yeah, the decision-making for Haarberg is really what stood out to me.
Yes.
And I would almost say, yes, obviously the skill compared to Raiola is lacking.
Yeah,
but his decision-making was almost better than Raiola's in this scrimmage.
Bare minimum, equal, yes.
Yeah. That's the one area where I think he actually outperformed against Raiola, is the fact that he never put the ball in jeopardy.
No.
And yes, we only have a half to look at.
Although there was one time, I think towards the end of the first half, the last drive by Raiola, they were down towards the goal line. It was before the drastically bad first missed field goal. Raiola kind of scrambled, and he wanted to throw it back across towards the middle of the field, but he pulled it back down.
And that's a perfect decision.
And he just went out of bounds. So
that's great. And Rhule praised him for it because he was up in the booth and he talked about it.
Yep.
But that's the one area where, yes, they both made good decisions, but I felt like Haarberg actually did a better job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that 100% because they both threw a pick and
Haarberg did.
I thought Haarberg did.
There's only one pick.
That must have been Kalin?
Kalin threw the other pick,
okay.
yeah.
For some reason, I thought Haarberg threw the other one, but decision-wise,
there was a couple other passes, and I don't remember exactly who threw them that could have and maybe should have been a pick.
Sure.
So maybe Haarberg is in there somewhere, but
if you're,
like I said, we only have a half.
Yeah.
I think one of the primary things that Haarberg had to focus on coming into this game was showing us that he wasn't going to turn the ball over. He didn't put the ball into a lot of tight spaces. He wasn't going for a lot of those extraordinary throws. That's to me, that was the main difference, because when you see Raiola play and try and make the throws that he does, you don't make spectacular throws without fitting him into some tight windows.
Yeah. And to your point, he kind of had to, because I don't think his ability is there.
But where you're talking about as far as some of the decision making, something that I noticed, there were a couple plays that were called specifically, like the Jalen Lloyd touchdown catch that he threw for 46 yards or whatever that was. It was very pretty. It was a well done play, but in a lot of, especially higher, like playing Ohio State, that ball is definitely not going to get where we think it's going to get just because Jalen Lloyd makes that type of a play.
Yeah.
Because he tracked him the entire way after that ball was snapped. He did not check anything else. You talking about the
60-something yard touchdown by Lloyd?
Yeah, whatever that was on the right side, headed north.
But that's also why I pointed out on that play, the play design completely, Janarian Bonner was short of Doss, wide open. Like, again, just the play design of bringing defenders to different spots and having other players, whether it's Doss downfield or not, even if Doss is more covered than what he was, there was another guy that was completely wide open.
About Lloyd?
On that, Lloyd was wide open. He ended up being, I'm talking, but Janarian Bonner was short of Lloyd, basically on the sideline, completely wide open, trailing the play. I'm just talking about the entire play design.
He didn't even see him because he watched
Lloyd
the entire time.
Lloyd was completely open. I'm just saying if Lloyd is more covered and you don't want to throw that pass, Bonner is just short of that, completely open for a long play. However it ends up is however it ends up, but I'm just saying.
I just think if you play a higher end defense,
yes,
especially with the type of speed that Ohio State brings to the game, that play is not going to be as easy, especially if you're locked on your receiver the entire time.
Gosh, yeah.
That's just going to be a struggle. But, decision making is decision making. The one thing that we saw for sure was there was not a single pass or a single passer that was out there that threw for a lower completion than what our average completion was amongst all quarterbacks for last season.
We averaged completion percentage?
Our completion percentage last year as a team was less 52. Than 55.
It was 52.
52.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
You had Haarberg throw 62% at 8 for 13. Raiola threw 16 for 24 at 67% for 239 yards, by the way. And Kalin got out there and threw 16. I didn't feel like he threw as many balls, but 9 for 16 for 56%. Like I said, he looked like the freshman of the group. But
he didn't do anything flashy, but it also wasn't bad.
He missed a couple, he missed one to a tight end that was wide open on the side, and it was just like he just sailed him. And it was one of those, he just looked a little antsy, a little freshman-y. My first time out here, I'm excited. But it was also halfway through the first half, so it was a little bit, come on, man.
I gotta be honest, I kind of didn't pay attention to him as much. I think he's a great talker, and he's going to be a good quarterback. He'll be a fine backup, but
that's
not
a couple
really
of years.
in the
That's a couple of years down the road.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
there's nothing saying he's not going to develop into an elite quarterback. He's got the brain for it, apparently.
Yeah, I hope they keep putting him on the podium. He's great to listen to.
He's also going to be a great guy to help push them in the quarterback room and help break down film, things like that, just bouncing ideas off of. What did you guys make of Raiola's kind of almost kiddish admissions on the podium after the game?
Of holding back tears coming out of the tunnel walk and stuff.
He said what every single one of us would have said if we were up there.
Absolutely.
Getting that opportunity.
I don't mind a quarterback that's honest with me.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
What I took from it, actually, it looked like the first time that he was up there and actually looked comfortable.
I also kind of like that he said that, because as great of an atmosphere as it is to have 60,000 people there for a glorified scrimmage, it's going to be drastically more important in a handful of months when we play when we play UTEP. And for him to just get a sliver of a taste of how he's going to feel coming out of that tunnel walk and going into the first drive of the game and all of that stuff, I think that's going to be very beneficial, because otherwise it would be like he's going to be changing his pants after the first drive.
No, I agree.
That comment to me kind of told me that he's
loved it.
He's kind of fit. He's good in the role. He doesn't feel like he's above everything.
No.
He doesn't feel like he's above being vulnerable with people. Like he's here. He's here to play ball, and he wants to have fun. And
every time that he's been
Patrick Mahomes-y, not to keep going back to it, but
that's okay.
It made me feel a little bit more like he was actually.
Oh Jesus, you really spilled.
It made me feel like he was actually just a little bit more human, just from a standpoint of the two times that we've heard from him on the podium this spring. He's almost sounded a little too cool for school. A little, I do this for my guys, and this and that, and just kind of seems Mr. Cool. And then when he gets up there and just flashes a big smile and he's just acting like a little kid talking about
before the first
emotions,
question even happened, he was like, "Yeah, let's go. This is great. I love this."
I think he felt good about his performance, obviously, as he should. I think all three guys should have felt good about it.
Yeah.
If you guys had to pick a starter after that game, who is it? Be real.
No, seriously.
Quit thinking about last year.
No,
and quit thinking about their age. Just think about what you saw on the field.
I would say if you just want to have me say just from the spring game performance, I don't know. I think it's super fucking close, and I would be very happy if either one of them started. Honest to God, that's not
commit.
No, that's
the numbers aren't.
It's
that
gonna
close.
be. It's gonna be. No, I think it is because even I understand Raiola had 72% completion percentage. Haarberg had 61. I'll take 61, especially at a 49% guy from last year.
I agreed.
But also when you have 20 yards per completion, 12 and a half yards per attempt for Haarberg, 15 for Raiola and 10 for Raiola as far as attempts and completions per attempt and per completion. Raiola did better in that aspect as far as those numbers. I would be perfectly happy with either way, but it's still going to be Raiola. I understand the situation.
I just think he's the more dynamic quarterback, period.
And I think if you take his numbers and spread them out over a game, they become more significant.
I legitimately don't change my win total. If you tell me Haarberg is going to start all year, with what I saw on Saturday, I don't change my win total.
You don't think an extra 100 yards through the air per game would be better?
No. It might change how much we win by on certain games, but I think that the win total would be roughly the same. Maybe
That's
one
fair.
game. I mean, but one game. It's like, I don't really change our win total as far as, I feel very comfortable if Haarberg is going to start. I know he won't, but I feel very comfortable if Haarberg is going to start.
I do think it's kind of funny they keep. I don't think that the competition's ever going to stop because I think if you play for Matt Rhule, you compete for your spot every day.
Yes.
So it's one thing to say, oh, they won't name a starter because there's a real QB competition going on. I don't think, even if he named a starter, I don't think that means that competition stops. Because all of a sudden fall camp gets here and Raiola shows up fat and hasn't kept his stuff up and isn't learning the playbook like he is and is just thinking he's going to waltz in and be the starter.
Yep.
That ain't going to happen.
No.
It's the way Rhule is. But at the same time, they keep up this facade and then you see Matt Rhule and Dylan Raiola getting up on stage at a major country concert this last weekend.
Yeah.
Haarberg wasn't invited up there. Like, I'm not thinking that they probably allow that to happen if you don't already kind of know Dylan Raiola is the superstar that Dylan Raiola is in Lincoln right now.
I mean, yeah, Raiola threw 9 more passes than Haarberg had, so the yardage is going to be drastically different. The percentage might change, the touchdowns, interceptions. Maybe Haarberg has at least one interception if he throws 9 more passes to match Raiola. But again, they're also still different quarterbacks.
They're very different.
Haarberg is gonna run the ball if he's out there. They're still not the same quarterback.
I don't know. He threw 9 more, but he completed 8 more. That's the thing that I'm seeing. Is the through the air, the passing attack? It's different.
Yeah,
It looked different.
73% compared to 61.5 is a drastic difference. But I will take 61.5%. It's not like what Haarberg did is unacceptable.
No, I agree with you.
That's
But if
kind
I have a
of
better
my
option,
point.
I want the better option.
Of course, that's why I said Raiola is going to start, but I'm okay with either one of them.
Yeah.
At least at this point right now.
Well, I'm excited to break into our next show that is going to be breaking down what exactly you expect based on stats of other,
Not just me, you guys too.
other
but
freshman
just,
quarterbacks that have, what was it, over the last 10 years?
I went back to 2016, excluding 2020 for obvious reasons, but I went back to 2016.
Check it out, guys. Be out soon.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.